Well, welcome to our live stream this afternoon. This will be one of two that we'll host over the weekend. We'll end with one on Monday at 2 o'clock to bring about some more details, more updates as necessary. But I know that Covenant Woods, as we always do, we rise to the occasion during these troubling times. And though we can predict the weather somewhat, we always are trying to plan for the worst and pray for the best in terms of outcomes. And you're going to hear from Tim today, you're going to hear from Carrie, you're going to hear from Mike, and there's other members of the team if you do have questions, and myself, of course, to kind of lay out as we see things now in preparation for the storm hitting starting tomorrow, either late afternoon, evening, and certainly overnight through Monday. So it's going to be prolonged. We know that we've already had a declared state of emergency in Virginia and other states, of course, and that is wise. And that means everybody should be on high alert and making preparations. And at Covenant Woods, obviously we have a lot of plans in place from a safety perspective, from a comfort perspective, a hospitality perspective. We want you well fed and kept warm. We have challenges, and we know some of those that have reared in the past. And so we're going to cover just what our plan is, and then at the end, I'm going to talk a little bit to the cottage residents. I have a message specifically for you all. So that'll keep you around for a while and keep you interested, but I'm just going to cover how we're going to communicate with you so we set fair expectations. This is certainly one way that we learned last year during the water crisis was meaningful, and so gathering together as much as we can are online, and this will be recorded and posted to Katie as well for review later on. We think this is important to have some FaceTime so that if you have questions or concerns. I will say that there are many of us who will be here on campus starting tomorrow night, and all the way through the end of the storm. So we will be around patrolling, filling in duties as necessary, because obviously we don't expect all of our staff to come in. We want folks to be safe. We have those that we consider essential. All of our staff are essential, of course, but those that can do work remotely that will be supportive to us, and also can be a team B should we need it if this is prolonged. So you will have many of us around tomorrow and throughout the entire weather event. And so we will provide routine updates to you every day through Katie. As long as we don't lose power, that will continue to be the primary vehicle. And that is every day at 10 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. You can expect some sort of message. And it may be that it's status quo, hope you're doing well, or it may be some updates as we learn them from our sources and what's going on around Virginia and Hanover County. So you can expect those updates on a daily basis for Saturday and Sunday. We'll pursue that if we need to further into next week. You'll also see on the carousels and TVs that we have different slides going on right now. Those are just reminders, hopefully good reminders for preparedness, and general reminders and updates if we still have programs that might go into effect next week. If our fitness staff can come in, they want to host those classes for those who can attend, those sort of things. So we'll continue to provide updates for you in those several different ways. The communiques, everybody read that already this week? At least have it in hand, you know where it is. Had a lot of good information, a lot of details, a lot of which we're going to be covering here just to be repetitive so that some of it does make sense. From an emergency perspective, we have our PA system, which is wonderful for apartments and for Manor East. We have the Sarah Call system, which is our older system that takes a while to get a message out. So if it's urgent, it's going to come to you maybe 3 hours, and we don't think that's sufficient. So we are going to use the PA system. So pay attention when we do have an announcement overhead. For cottage residents, and we'll talk about this more at the end, but for those of you who are here or are not making alternate plans to be off campus, we have a phone tree that we're going to implement. If there's an urgent message to get out to you, we're going to divide and conquer from teams here, teams off-site, to give you a call and let you know what's going on. And it may just be that the power's out, what to expect, when it might return, if we know, that sort of thing. So we have our emergency plans in place. I will say for all residents listening, you should definitely have your pendants wearable. Have it on your person. Because anything can happen no matter where you are, especially even if you're staying in your own cottage or apartment, anything can happen, and that is your lifeline to our security team and emergency response. So please, I know many of you have it in your drawer. We know it's no secret. Not everybody carries it or wears it, but now is absolutely the time to have your pendants that have been issued to you available to you during this crisis, okay? As I said, we've got a live stream on Monday at 2 o'clock in the Commons. We're trying to balance things out, but we also know that at that point, more folks might want to come out and participate in person. It'll be broadcast on channel 1971 for further updates. And just a reminder, the town hall previously scheduled for Monday has been rescheduled for February 2nd so that we can all be back in the house and share out more information at that time. So I'm going to pass it over to Tim next, who's got the bulk of our information. And then it'll be Carrie and Mike, and I'll finish up with a message for cottage residents and discussion.
Good afternoon, everyone. The first thing that I really want to do is give credit to the folks on my team who have really helped prepare for this event and worked together, gotten things done. It is a time of heightened anxiety for most of us who work in these fields, and to see the changes through the week that were coming, that we knew we were going to face something that was unprecedented this weekend. It just kept climbing, and the folks that I've got on my team did a fantastic job. We're doing pretty well, knock on wood, thank God. But I want to give them credit for what they've done. I am a big NOAA National Weather Service fan, so when events like this happen, I tend to basically stay on the weather channel, stay on the NOAA channel and watch for changes, look at the probabilities. Through the week, there were always probabilities. NOAA's not going to attack inches or amounts to anything other than probability. As the week went along, we were looking at an obvious snow event, but their increased amount of snow started to decrease, and the increases started to come on the ice side. So we are so lucky that we are going to be getting, according to NOAA today, there is a 6 to 10 inch variable on the snow, with 1 to 3 inches of that being sleet and freezing rain. Tomorrow night, when the snowstorm starts, the temperature is going to go below freezing and not climb back up. Next week, I think the warmest day that they're showing is 32. And then beyond that, the evenings are down into the single digits. It's going to be unprecedented for us to get this type of moisture that will not melt off, that will stick around, and never go away for a whole week. We have got preparations for folks to come in tomorrow afternoon. They're going to drop equipment off today. You've seen some pre-treatments get done to the roads and walkways. They'll come in tomorrow, do a pre-treat on the roadways, and then they'll be in tomorrow evening, and as the snow starts and there's enough to push, they will continue to push through the night, through tomorrow, and try to keep the roads cleared for us. Now, in an event like this, we're going to end up with 6-7 inches of snow. It'll change over Sunday morning, some point in time. But when it changes, it's going to be a mixture. It's going to be snow, sleet, and freezing rain. Right now, they've got us in the 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice. The freezing rain's going to cause that much on top of everything else. NOAA's using terms like catastrophic, week-long events. This is not going to be something that we look at lightly, and it's not going to go away quickly. The colder temperatures next week are just going to exacerbate what we were able to melt, what we were able to take away, what we were able to push out of the way. It's going to turn into nothing but a sheet of ice. As we work with it on the roadways, certain parts of areas, on the sidewalks, the entrances, once we get them melted, it is so cold. When it drops down like that, it won't take long for it to refreeze. We're asking everyone to please, if you do not have to go outside, please don't go outside once the event starts. This is about a 24-hour event where it's starting Saturday night and it's really not going to wind up until Sunday night into early Monday morning, depending on how quickly it starts to move. We are going to try and focus on exits out to roadways and will prevent us from trying to get all of the walkways around campus initially, which is why we have to focus on the entrances out so that if there was an emergency of some kind, we could get folks out any of the entrances to the roadway where we would have EMS help us out. Please keep that in mind. If you decide to go out, to walk around, if you have to be outside for any reason, stay at a main entrance out and on the roadway. Don't attempt to walk on the sidewalks. We're not going to attempt to keep them clear because that is an unattainable task. I've done this type of thing many years, and it is extremely frustrating to push away 2 inches or 3 inches of snow at a time and to have it come right back, and specifically in the form of ice or sleet. It is going to be very slick, hard for anyone to take care of. A lot of things that we're looking at are long-term outages. We hate to say that, but the probability exists. It's been something that's broadcast. It's something that's NOAA's pushing. On our campus, all of our electrical lines are underground. Our transformers aren't exposed like they are off campus. Lee Davis Road, you'll see the power lines running along Lee Davis Road. You'll see transformers on those poles. A lot of the outages that happen during an ice storm happen on those types of lines, those types of transformers. So if we were to have an outage, I would expect it to be something off campus that we can't deal with, that now we're in a waiting game for. With the amount of outages that could be possible, one of the things that we saw in the recent past was an outage that was caused by wind, and wind knocked tree limbs out across the region. We were without power for, I think, 17 hours. Typically, Dominion knows our situation. They're very good to us, and they know that we need our power. They're very good about getting it back on. They were hindered by the fact that the wind caused so many outages, and they had to back away from us to get it on in other places and then come back to us. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope we're not looking at that, but those possibilities exist. I hope and pray that we can come through this with some snow and sleet and never see the power go out. But it is a high probability. With the amount of ice that they're calling for, it's unprecedented. I just want to make certain everyone understands that, okay? Some other things I want to cover besides the weather. The walkways, I've touched on that, but just be certain, we're going to try entrances out to the roadway. Roadway we'll try to keep clear for emergency services only. It's not for people to travel on. Red outlets. Red outlets in the apartment buildings are either a red cover, a red screw, or the receptacle itself will be red. One of those things will be red that indicates that those outlets are on generator power. Use those outlets in those emergencies if the power goes out, okay? Cottages, I am sorry, there are no red outlets in your cottages. But in the buildings, that's where that is at. On the parking, one of the things that we want to try to do, I've pushed snow a long time, coordinated this with the folks who are coming in. When you park your cars tomorrow, if you go out and you come back, park as close to the building as you can. Fill in any gaps around the sidewalks that you can. What we want to do is bring employees from the parking area down into the additional spaces that we have so that employees can fill the spaces in around the ring road. It's not just for the safety of them walking. What that does is help us create an area in the employee parking lot that we can now push quickly and evenly without bobbing in and out around vehicles. And it also helps for them to pull snow away from the edges of the vehicles that are parked on the ring roads. So always remember, park as close as you can, fill in any of the gaps. We would not want to have a single car out in the middle of a lot, or a single car on the ends, or in the middle of an area where they could push. It makes it much easier for those folks to push it once we do that. One of the last things I want to touch on is that the gates at every entrance, including Laurel Bay, tomorrow when they go up, they're going to be up for the duration of the event. And that is for ease of access for the snow plows, for any emergency services that would come, and so that folks can get in and out as they need to. So they will be up. And then I think that's most of the major parts that I had. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, if there are residents in the lodge that have 2 vehicles, or that there's another vehicle, I don't know which spaces they are. I'm sorry, I don't know that. It would help to have lodge residents, if there are additional spaces, is to have lodge residents off the lot into the garage. The clearer we can make the parking areas, the easier it is for us to try to push. And like I mentioned, this is an all-day event. So all day Sunday, we're going to be battling the elements, and we're going to end up with what God sends us. So we will see what we get at the end of the day, and come Monday morning, we'll see how well we fared. But thank you for that comment. Any other questions? Thank you, guys.
Good afternoon. I'm Carrie Davis, the administrator. Just a couple of quick announcements specific to Manor East and to employees. You noted in the communique this week, we put a special section under the inclement weather section specific to Manor East, because we are making a couple of changes with our dining plans in Manor East, and so we wanted to get that information out. We do share the communique with Manor East family members, so they get that electronically, so they have the same information that you currently do as far as what we're doing for winter weather preparation. They'll continue to get updates during the course of the weekend, and they also will be provided access to a link to this broadcast later today so that they can have as much information about our readiness as you have. From a staffing standpoint, I'm very happy to say that right now weekend staffing appears to be where it should be for every weekend. We do have a number of employees who have already pre-registered, if you will, to stay overnight. So we have over 40 individuals who have already self-identified and have been assigned locations that they can stay. We don't have a lot of availability on campus, but we do have 3 different apartments in the Manor, between Manor and Manor East, that we're able to make accommodations for staff to share. So if you notice some staff members in different parts of the building, if they usually work in Manor East, that is why. We are providing group housing for everyone so that they can stay safe and off the roads during this weather event as well. So I just wanted to make you aware of that in case you see people in places you didn't normally see them. But thank you for your time, and Mike Sheff will come up and give you some updates on dining.
Good afternoon. How's everybody? Wonderful. Yeah. So just a couple of reminders about the communique. Keep in mind, today, cottage residents, 3 o'clock at the bistro. You get to have the 2 entrees for $5 each. If there's 4 people, you get if there's 2 people, you get 4 entrees. I would urge you to do that because, as Tim was saying, if you're living in the cottages, we're really going to be looking for you not to leave the cottages, so you stay safe. We want you to have food. Saturday and Sunday, lunch for Traditions and Fireside. There will be lunch available, no breakfast, no dinner. Okay, there'll be limited menus. Salad bar will not be available, and we're doing all this because we know of the impact it will have to staff. We don't want people on the road who don't have to be on the road, but we still want to provide, one meal each day. Okay, so Saturday and Sunday lunch, 11:30 to 2. Just a reminder of that. The only important thing I'm going to ask is, please do not order. If you order carryout, if you come to the venue and you order carryout, please do not order any more than 1 meal per person for carryout. My concern is getting delivery trucks, and I don't want to run out of food. We do have food in stock right now for 6 days ahead, but my concern is if we can't get a truck, I want to have as much food as possible for everyone to have 1 meal per day, okay? Any questions about that? That's important. Okay, thank you.
All right, and so as promised, the last conversation I want to have is with cottage residents and on your behalf. And that is the fact that, as we've been talking about, a power outage is quite possible. And so, as you know, your fireplaces will no longer work once you lose electricity. I think everybody's aware of that, yes? Okay. Tim, is that the case?
Yep. If your controls have a battery packed in them, then they will light. But you have to remember the controls themselves are operated by electricity. Once the electricity goes, then the control portion of it goes. You also have a fan motor on most of them. The fan is provided by electricity, not by the batteries. Okay, does that make sense? To the remote portions of it and the pilot. Yeah, there's no batteries in the fireplaces. It's only in the you have a pack. It will not run the blower. Correct, but your blower, the blower doesn't actually blow out. Then great, fantastic. I learned something today. Absolutely. If they work for you and the power goes out, then fire them up. But if for some reason they do not, that is the reason. Okay? Thank you, guys.
If we lose power, will we have trouble with water?
No, ma'am. Not unless Richmond has issues with water again.
Okay.
We should be good. But yeah, the water lines are completely separate from anything electrical here. So the issues would be any water coming in, and let's hope that Richmond's got it corrected.
Tim, we're in, as you know, one of the antique cottages, but we have old school hot water, a gas-fired hot water heater. And I can't determine whether or not that will run just off the pilot or if it is electric.
The controls on those are electric, so they will not operate.
Okay.
Might as well stay right there.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
I probably know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. If the power goes out, we'll be able to use the elevator.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
The question was about the elevators and the power going out. We discovered over periods of time that there was actually one elevator and the electric lift under the link that were the only ones that were not connected to the generators. That's all been corrected. The link, lift, and the elevator at K-Wing are all on generator power.
I have a question. I
Yes,
keep
ma'am.
hearing yes and no on this one. Are the refrigerators in the apartments in the lodge on a generator?
They are on a generator outlet. In the lodge, when they set a building up, when you look at a building, they look at life safety for generator purposes. If they were to power everything in the building, it would take a huge generator to do that. So when they look at it, they look at life safety. They look at elevators, they look at heating, they look at emergency lighting, and they look at outlets specific to what you may need in your home. So that's why there are the red outlets. But yes, ma'am, the refrigerator should be on an outlet related to the generator.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. The last time we. Oh, okay, thank you. The last time we had a power outage, let's say for instance, now I got heat in my apartment, but when it was wired, we moved in '07. The plug that the refrigerator is in doesn't work. In other words, anything can go bad in that refrigerator. I purchased a extra heavy duty extension cord. It's almost big around as your little finger, 3-prong, heavy duty. Could the refrigerator be rolled out a little bit, unplugged, and then use that extension cord and plug it into one of the hot red plugs? Would that work okay?
No, we would prefer if you've got an issue, let us know. We'll come take care of that. Typically, refrigerators are on a specific circuit on their own. There's not anything else attached to it because of the amperage that it takes to run the refrigerator. And we would prefer to make certain that it's on an outlet that's related to the generator, and then your convenience outlets were probably on a separate circuit.
Yeah, in other words, you'd have to pull the plug out at the back of the refrigerator, plug it into that extension cord, and run it right down the hall like 9 feet away into one of those red hot, I call it hot plugs.
Yeah, let me get your apartment number after this
Okay.
meeting, and then there's ways for us to come and check on your outlet.
Yeah, I reported it a long time ago, but it was never corrected, not rewired.
Okay.
Okay.
Megan, I'll repeat it.
Oh.
The question was whether the microwaves will work. The microwaves will work if you plugged into a red outlet. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am.
I live in Manor West. The last time we were without power, I was out without refrigeration and freezer. I guess this time maybe we can put our stuff on the balcony.
Absolutely. That's what our game plan is at the house, because if a power goes out, we're ready for it. But
what can I do to ever get connected to the compressor?
make certain your apartment number goes down with his. We can
Well,
check your outlets for you.
The last time we were without power, I had somebody come and they moved my refrigerator out, and they said, no, I was not connected.
Okay, let's get your number. Any other questions? Yep. The question was about the cottage situations. For folks that live in the cottages, if you stay after this meeting, we'll do another presentation for you folks. We've got some sleds that we're going to hand out.
Will we have hot water in the cottages? They're on gas, but I think it's an electrical,
Yes, sir. You should be fine as long as you have power.
as long as you have power.
Way to clarify that.
Yeah. There's one more over here. Let me
I know that you said that the lodge, the refrigerators will probably be okay in the lodge, but what about the manor?
All of the,
I'm independent living in the manor.
yes, ma'am.
So will my refrigerator keep on going?
There was a project they did many years before me coming where there was they did circuits related to generator power specifically for Manor West. And part of that was to take circuits from each apartment and add them onto the generator power, which is why in your apartments, your outlet that might be red or on generator is not the same as another apartment that might be on generator. And your outlet, just make certain you're on an outlet with the red plate. And it has to do with the timing of the project, but it will be a red outlet, a red screw, or a red receptacle.
How do I know? Because I can't pull the refrigerator out. I know there's a red outlet that's just a little short of the refrigerator, but I don't know if I'm hooked into a red outlet in the back of my refrigerator.
We can get your number and come check it for you.
Great, thank you.
Hey, Tim, you might just want to remind the people in the cottages to leave those cabinet doors open again underneath the sinks.
Yep.
And then leave the water dripping a little bit.
Absolutely. I think that went out in Katy. But what we want to do when you hit the really cold temperatures, I mean, I think most folks know this. The exterior walls, which is where some of the plumbing is, specifically related to a kitchen, is to leave the cabinets open so that air can circulate in there. And on bathrooms where you may not use all the time, if it's a spare bathroom, make certain that you leave some water in the sink or in the tub running, shower, dripping, specific to an exterior wall. And that way we can ensure that once it gets really cold, and that's not something that you need to do through this storm. Next week when we go into single digits, that's when you really need to do it, is make certain that that deep freeze that we're going into doesn't affect the cottages. Thank you, ma'am.
Let me just finish up. So we're not going to ask everybody leaving cottage residence to stay in light of what we have discovered about your fireplaces. So my original concern, as we kept hearing more about the ice buildup and potential for power outage, still a concern for cottage residents, is that you would not have any heat. And what I'm hearing from cottage residents is that they had heat the last time and that you feel comfortable staying in a situation where you may not be able to come across to the commons for additional heat and so forth. If you're not, I would implore you to seek alternate arrangements. If you have any, if you can, let us know. But I would encourage you to either partner up with some independent living resident friends or family, or perhaps off campus even consider that between now and say 5 o'clock tomorrow, that you may want to make an alternate plan, because it's going to be hard for us to get to you, although we'll try to keep as much cleared as we can. But if you don't have heat, that's my primary concern. We've got the food covered. You're picking that up today. My concern for you is heat, and I don't want to be paternalistic about it, or think that I'm your son, but if you were my parents, I would be deeply concerned about that. I just want to put that out there, that it is our encouragement that you might seek alternate arrangements through the storm, either in these buildings, because we do have the generators, or with family or friends. So that's my encouragement to folks in the cottage. You'll have to consider your own plan. If you feel comfortable staying, know that we're here and around the clock. We'll respond as best we can. But I just want to put that out there as a concern for our friends, especially living in the cottage neighborhoods. So I'm just going to leave it there. If you have questions, you can certainly contact us.
I just wanted to make mention, if you
Yep.
do that, please fill out an LOA, which is the leave of absence form, and let the front desk know so we know if you're off property or if you've at least come up to the building, because we would like to keep tabs on that.
Thanks, Megan. And I'll just echo where Tim began, which was my ending, which was a huge thanks to all of our team. You have folks that you never even met who are behind the scenes willing to stay, working extra to do some food prep and other preparations to make sure that you're safe. And we have a phenomenal team, and you're in good hands. And we just want to appreciate all of our team members who are sacrificing their time to be here, their own situations at home. And those that can't, we respect that, and we're encouraging them to stay home and stay put and be safe. So, yes. As I said, there'll be ones of us who are here all weekend. You can reach me by cell phone. That is published. You can always text or call. Certainly, you can contact security. They can get in touch. That's your primary line of defense for emergency situations. If you've got a pipe that has burst or any other situation, obviously contact security, and that's already been posted around the campus as to how to do that in order of which cell phone, et cetera. But with that, we'll leave it here for today. Expect more updates routinely throughout the weekend, and we'll convene again on Monday in the Commons at 2 o'clock for another live stream. Yes, Dwayne. One more announcement from Dwayne.
No, I just want to clear up any confusion. All cottages, they weren't built in the same year. So what Ms. Gerard has is not all the cottages. All the fireplaces are not the same. So all of them will not work if we lose power. Her cottage was built in 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Yeah, so they're all not the same. Most of them will not work if we lose power.
Okay.
All right.
So you've heard it from the source. So again, I will implore you to make additional plans between now and tomorrow at 5 o'clock for those of you who live in the cottages. No, I would, yes, you want it left? Okay. So then in that case, it would be all your faucets. So the pipes don't freeze.
If you happen to leave, and the last question was extremely important, I'm glad you asked that. If you leave the cottages and you turn in an LOA to Megan, please do that so we know that you're not there. But open your cabinets specifically. Leave some water dripping if you're not going to be back for days, because if there happened to be an outage, it would still creep in. The cold could still creep in. The LOAs are important for us to know you're not there so that we start a routine of coming around and checking on your cottage through this event, whether you're gone for a day or whether you're gone through the entire week next week. That cold air is going to prompt us to do certain things at certain cottages, and it will be specific to folks who are not there. So please let us know if you leave. Thank you, ma'am.
And you can do your LOA at the front desk as you normally would, or on your Katie. Thank you.
Okay. Well, friends, our meeting is adjourned.